Thanks for joining me. Before I get started, I'll give you a brief introduction of who I am and then kind of a bit more of a background on National Grid and the journey we've taken so far. So, my name is James Linnett. I'm an Analytics and Development Lead at National Grid. I'm originally from Leicester in the Midlands, still live there now. I have 3 children, youngest of which was born 2 months ago. So I have 2 boys and a baby girl, and that's an exact silhouette of me just there as well. So a big football fan. I was very lucky to witness one of the greatest stories ever told with Leicester City winning the league on the 5,000 to 1 odds. And Ranieri, yes. So a bit of my career history. Started my career at AXA PPP Healthcare, where my background was kind of in Microsoft Access and SQL. I then eventually moved to British Gas, where it was more of an SQL focused role. And I've got a similar SQL focused role at a retail company called Next. Then I moved to EasyJet down in Luton, where I was introduced first to Tableau, and one of my old bosses here actually in the audience. Put your hand up, Ben. Fell in love with it all. When our second child was born, I needed to move closer back home, so I moved back to Leicester to work at a company called Office Depot or Viking Direct, where it was similarly another Tableau focused role. And then recently I've had the opportunity to come work for National Grid and joining them on their rollout of Tableau. So the agenda we're going to cover today, we're going to look at who National Grid are, what our role within National Grid is in the gas transmission owner, a bit of the background on how we came to implement Tableau as the tool, the journey we've taken so far with the implementation of that. The bulk of the slides are going to be around user adoption and lessons learned, and then finally we're going to be looking at some next steps. So who are National Grid? So National Grid don't own any power, they don't produce any electricity or gas. They're responsible for the safe transportation of that energy. Think cars on a motorway, not the A and B roads, just the main arteries. You own the car, we ensure the roads are safe, the signs are legible, etc. So within National Grid, it's predominantly split into 3 areas. We have the gas transmission owner, which is the area I work. We have the electricity transmission owner, and we have the system operator. Now, gas, we own the pipelines, the compressor stations, the above ground installations, those sort of things. Electricity, they own the pylons and the wires, and the system operator that kind of makes sure that the energy is flowing through the system. So within GTO, we maintain the National Transmission System, or NTS, across the UK. Some of the key stats of which are on the slide. So we own over 7,500 kilometres of pipeline, 2 gas terminals, 24 compressor stations, over 600 above ground installations, and we have more than 800 employees that are geographically dispersed across the UK. So these employees are our users, our Tableau. So we have people up as far north as St Fergus in the north of Scotland to as far south as Lockerley in Hampshire. So GTO is split with a number of teams. So we have operations, who are our key customers. So these are the guys that work in those sites around the country. But then we also have teams such as network engineering, who own the assets on the national transmission system. We have asset assurance, who they ensure the compliance with safety regulations, hazardous area classification and emergency preparedness. And then we have business operations support, which is the department I work in, and within that department we have specialist contract management, we have workforce planning, we've got analytics and performance, which is my team, and we have other supporting teams such as business change. So a bit of background. So why did we go for Tableau? So business case we put forward that we wanted to provide our operational workforce with access to automated and robust reporting, moving away from disparate data sources such as Excel, SharePoint, and a load of other databases and access, of course. So we also wanted to reduce the amount of time it takes somebody to chase the answer, such as making a phone call, find somebody at their desk, or try and follow up on email. and really empower our users to self-serve, saving multiple hours in the process. So a project that will set up with our support partners to introduce a new data lake that can consume all this information into one place, and to provide governance and data lineage. So Tableau, along with another tool, was chosen to be at the front end of this data. So the journey so far. So with the inception of the project in October 2016 to the end of the project in November 2017, we rationalised and automated a load of legacy reporting, saving over 75 hours per month. We introduced and trained an operational workforce in using Tableau. We've rolled out 24 dashboards covering workforce planning, performance reporting, dashboard usage, process safety, mobile phone auditing, training planning and more. And we've established a Tableau at National Grid user forum. So initially, with the project, didn't have any Tableau skills in-house, so we outsourced them with our partners. But then in October 2016, end of October 2016, I started within the role, based from my experience with Tableau, and then due to a growing demand, kind of an insatiable demand for new reports, we employed a new Tableau developer this year. So for user adoption, I've tried to split out it into kind of three key areas. So we've got support, accessibility and customer focus. So what do I mean by support? I mean, what materials do we produce to support users going through business change? So before the rollout of our first dashboards, we produced a What is Tableau video to warm teams up that a new software was coming, what it was and how it will help them. Now bear in mind that our primary customers are engineers, that they're nuts and bolts kind of people, not necessarily data savvy, and they were used to kind of receiving an Excel report or a screenshot of an Excel report that showed them their specific performance and their specific zones or sites, and they didn't really need to kind of delve into information, because they just follow up with the team to kind of ask for underlying data. And now we were asking them to self-serve that information using Tableau. So when dashboards were released, we put together a number of live and recorded webinars showing the user effectively how to use Tableau, so how to log in, how to navigate to their views or their performance. We also provide quick reference guides or QRGs with all our dashboards. These are aimed at non-technical users, showing them what the dashboard is telling them, why they would use it and how they would use it. This one's a pretty good example. So the dashboard on the screen is one of our main dashboards. So it pulls in information from a number of other dashboards and gives it kind of a top line number, a KPI of how that area or zone is doing, based on a RAG system, so red being bad, green being good, and it also compares to how it's looking in previous months. Now, as the user would use this by clicking on one of those squares. It would then take them to that particular dashboard, and then they can go and delve into more information down by site, by user, by week if need to. So every month we also send out an email newsletter. This is kept relevant by discussing upcoming dashboards and enhancements, user stories. So think newspaper opinion column, we get an engineer or an end user to kind of write a little paragraph to kind of tell them how they're using Tableau and what benefit they're finding from it. Also, we look at discussing some of the events that we've been to, or site visits, or attendance at team days and what we found from those. And we look at top tips, so effectively step-by-step guides on how to set up a customized view or create a subscription. So accessibility. So how are we making it easier for users to use our dashboards? So we produce clear supporting processes on how a user can get help on a particular question on a dashboard or a particular issue. So firstly, they'd contact a local power user in their area. Firstly, they'd reference any training guides or quick reference guides or webinars that we've produced. Secondly, they'd contact a power user in their area. And then finally, if that wasn't able to resolve their issue, they'd come to the development team. So the process was put in place to encourage users to troubleshoot themselves. So although Tableau's menu system is great, we found it didn't really suit our target audience. So we designed this homepage because we wanted a one-stop shop for users to access our dashboards. We were conscious that it could become unruly if users had to save emails or links to certain dashboards and try and remember how to access a particular report. So being proactive, we developed this homepage on the server, pointing to Tableau's Postgres database, which gives a central location for all the reports. So the dashboard contains descriptions. As you hover over one of those dashboards, it will give you a description on why would you want to access that. We also include supporting links, which are in the green, to kind of go through processes such as adding new user or requesting a new user to have access to Tableau server. We have refresh schedules on there so users can understand how often dashboards are refreshed, and then links to any supporting materials that we've produced as well. We also put notices on the home page to let users know that if there's any open instance or issues with any reports. It's in the red at the top there. And as you can see in the orange grouping down the side there, different groups for different dashboard families. So we also look at usage. So we can be reactive to any potential opportunities. We have built a usage stats dashboard. So dashboard usage is split by team, department, site, or down to a specific user. So in this dashboard, on your left-hand column, you can see the bar charts for the month. So that's monthly utilization. The one below, it's weekly utilization. And then we have daily utilization as well. If anyone's familiar with web analytics, we put in not just unique views, but also impressions. So what we're doing there is counting how often a dashboard's been accessed over, if it's been over an hour period. So if you access it at 1 o'clock, that would count as 1. If you access it 2 o'clock, then it will count as 2 views. And then we also look at top dashboards and top users. And also you can scroll down to low engaged users as well. Now we use that then to target specific dashboards, to try and understand why this dashboard is not being used that well. Is it because it's not giving the user the right information? Is it because there's a performance issue on it? That will kind of give us a stepping stone to start asking those questions. And similarly with the users, low engaged users, we can reach out to those people and try and understand, do they need any more support in accessing Tableau, or are the dashboards that we built fit for their purposes? And then finally, we pull out dashboards that have not been accessed for X number of days. So we have the grey bar, the grey box is dashboards that have not been opened in 10 days, yellow 30 days plus, and then finally 60 days. So we have a consistent look and feel across all our dashboards. We have our logos in the top left-hand corner, we have filters in the column structure on the left, we have blue headers and titles, area and zones are coloured consistently across our reports. So that way when a user comes in, they automatically know where the filters are, they know what colour represents their area. And we also include refresh times on the dashboard and the data source as well. So for user adoption, under customer focus. So how are we keeping the customer at the heart of what we do? So senior sponsorship. This is really effective when driving adoption. Our senior sponsor is the head of operations. He's really helped drive performance by informing his team that all performance reviews he does with them on a monthly basis will no longer be done in Excel. He wants them done in Tableau. As you can expect, on the usage stats, day before the performance review, you see an uptick in performance. So sponsorship alone won't ensure adoption. You really need to have a top-down and bottom-up approach. So meet face-to-face with your customers. Go out to attend planning meetings, management meetings, team days, even meet face-to-face. These forums promote the use of Tableau. understand what challenges they are facing, and think how you can turn those challenges into opportunities. One example I had, I went to a West Area team day. I came across a more vocal engineer who was really having a tough time using Tableau, mainly because we sent him a load of training material months ago. He looked at it then, but when it comes to his performance review, because he hasn't looked at it in a long time, he's now not sure how to kind of use our reports. So it's kind of a quick win really. It was just kind of setting out some time and going actually to his site, sitting with him, setting up subscriptions, setting up customized views, trying to understand what he's trying to get out of the reports, and kind of really helping him overcome any obstacles he was facing. So not only does sitting with the customer get over their obstacles, it also demonstrates that we as a team are there to support them and to win over the hearts and minds when going through business change. Every month we have a local call with MI support teams where we discuss new dashboards, enhancements that are being worked on, open incidents affecting any reporting, new dashboard functionality such as the introduction of data-driven alerts, getting any sight of any team days or team meetings that are upcoming in their areas, and also understanding those current priorities and challenges that they are facing. So promote a one-team mentality, break down siloed working across the organisation. Historically, areas within National Grid had little involvement with other departments if there wasn't a need, but as Tableau is used within our electricity and system operator counterparts, we founded a Tableau as National Grid user forum to really get the most out of the product. Since the inception of this user group, we've avoided duplication, sharing workbooks where the subject is transferable across the business, such as training dashboards, and also sharing innovative ways in making dashboard security more user specific. So on a personal reflection, I think this has been brilliant from a networking point of view. I feel and the team feels now that we can kind of go interact with these other teams and these other departments without kind of the worry that they might be too busy or kind of pushing back or for whatever reason. It's kind of we have a better relationship now within the business than we did months ago. So some of the things we covered for user adoption. So for support, what materials do we produce to support users going through business change? We produce quick reference guides, webinars, email newsletters. Under accessibility, so how are we making it easier for our users to access our dashboards? So we have clear and supporting processes and documentation. We have a homepage that is automated off the Postgres database. We look at usage stats and we have a consistent look and feel across our reporting. And finally, customer focus. So how are we keeping the customer at the heart of what we do? So we ensure we have communication from our senior sponsorship. We meet face to face. We attend the management meetings and team days. We have monthly calls, and we really promote a one-team mentality at National Grid. So some of the lessons that we've learned. So a product owner can really help drive adoption of a dashboard as they tend to be the subject matter expert. They will support development, promote usage, and explain reasons and benefits to the organisation. Set out clear roles and responsibilities to the product owner, what being a product owner means, such as consultation on dashboards changes, enhancement requests and sign-off, data responsibility. If you're using a flat file or a CSV file, etc., to produce your dashboard, you need to make them understand that changing a column name or moving certain data will potentially have a negative impact on your dashboard. And finally, senior sponsorship. So ensure communication is received early. It took us a while to get the communication cascaded down to the teams, but once we had, the impact was clear. So don't get unstuck by not knowing how a metric is defined and where it comes from. ensure a product owner has agreed to how a data will be consumed. They can't just make changes to source fields without informing you first. And finally, manage data quality. So users may wrongly assume that the data is robust and accurate because it's in a dashboard that looks fantastic. So we are looking to introduce a kite marks solution at National Grid. Effectively, if you're going to make decisions off data that's coming from a CSV file, we want to label that bronze so the user's informed that this data is potentially manipulated before it's shown in Tableau. And then a gold for, say, a system of record data source where there's no manual intervention at all. So engage with the end user. We had instances of dashboards rollouts being delayed due to user unwilling to adopt it, even though the product owner was ready to sign it off. Test new processes. This may sound obvious, but don't just take somebody's word and really find time to test thoroughly. We face challenges on adding a new user to an AD group, which is then used for accessing certain dashboards. Now, this AD process was signed off to us by our internal IT teams, and given assurances that it's fine and it's all set to go. But the moment we started using it, it fell apart at the first opportunity. Finally, a clear benefits case for dashboards. Answer the so what. A new dashboard might make you look great, or might make the customer look great, but what value is it trying to add? What is different to the existing process? What action will be taken as a result of the dashboard? And what questions is the customer or user trying to answer? Just because you can doesn't mean you should. It's on the build. So don't assume that something makes sense to you. It will to the end user. If anyone's got any background on financial reporting, YOY or year on year, it makes sense to me, but it doesn't necessarily to an engineer. Also, engage as early as possible with the end user. Don't just think what they want, really try to understand what they want. So explore the art of possible. You don't want to miss any opportunities. Don't just replace like for like. Really understand the questions being asked. In the initial rollout of our dashboards, we were so focused on just replacing what we had in Excel to really kind of get the initial benefits of self-serve that we didn't really think and step back and ask, is this still required? Is this still useful? So the result of pushing for a quick release meant more work for the team further down the line, and even dashboards that weren't even utilised. If we just took that initial breath, we could have really made something better. Finally, catch up regularly with your product owner and be comfortable to challenge. The questions they were asking last week may not be the questions that they're asking this week. I came across a good process when designing a dashboard. It was build the dashboard, ask the product owner if it answers their questions, ask them if it makes them ask more questions, and then rinse and repeat until you've answered all those questions. So what's next? So we're going to work collaboratively with our electricity and system operator counterparts to raise awareness of the benefits of Tableau to the wider organisation. Our plan is to set up a stall in, it's called the street in our head office, but it's kind of the area with most foot traffic. Tends to be between their desks and the canteen. We're going to set up a stall there, visualising some of the World Cup data just to kind of bring them in as a hook. And then once we've hooked them in, then kind of show these employees what we've done with Tableau so far within our respective areas. So to drive awareness outside of operations, again, who are our main customers at the moment, and we need to kind of branch out from operations. So we're going to put a lunch and learn session across GTO, and then try and find areas where we can add the most value and then approach these customers. And adoption is ongoing. So over the next couple of months, we'll be visiting engineers at site to really understand the challenges that they're facing and being on hand to help. And National Grid have implemented a very visual printable hub We want to kind of understand how we can kind of add to that and what value can we add and how can we improve it. So just leave you with some customer success stories or some comments that we've had back from customers since the inception of Tableau. So our average usage for operations has grown over since inception. So the first 3 months of rolling it out, our adoption rate was around, our utilization rate was around 30%. But over the last 3 months, it's 70%. And on that, I will field some questions. I think it works.
Now it's working. Yeah. You talked about data quality. Do you have have you considered, or do you have something like that? Somebody who's regularly checking the data. I assume you have kind of regular live data in the background. So is anybody checking on data quality regularly?
Okay, so the whole kind of rollout of this Tableau was also introduction of a new data lake, which I mentioned. Within that, we have a number of system of record databases, such as Ellipse, which is our asset management database. So we do measure the quality of that using IBM Infosphere, I think it's called. So we're monitoring data quality there. Where we're facing challenges as an organisation is around data sources of flat files. So being a historical organisation such as National Grid, we have a lot of reports that are embedded in Excel, and the data sources is someone being on the phone to someone and keying in some certain key information after speaking to engineers. So the challenges we're facing with that is we're taking that information and we're pushing it into the data lake, but if somebody could key a wrong letter or put a character in a numeric field. But with those, we are looking at them, but it's not as kind of automated as we'd like. It is just kind of looking at which extracts fail to be uploaded and then kind of feeding that back. So we need to kind of do more within GTO to kind of monitor data quality with those.
You mentioned about power users or super users.
Mm-hmm.
Who are those in your organization, and how many do you have?
Yeah, so our model is very different, I suppose. If you come to a couple of these talks before mine, you find out that they've got 750 desktop licenses where everyone's creating dashboards. That's not the case within GTO. So we have 10 licenses. 2 are given to experienced developers, that's myself and a colleague. We have another 2 that are given to kind of are more junior members of the team in terms of Tableau development, as kind of like a development point of view. But when I mention power users, this is normally people within local kind of MI sites. So we split into like north, west, east, etc. We have MI teams in those areas, and it's focusing on them. Really how to really interrogate Tableau, how to set up subscriptions, how to kind of put user-driven alerts and those sort of things. So there are power users when I say power users, because they're going to be the first person to point a gun when an engineer rings up and go, how do I get the data for Wormington? And they will go to those people first.
Okay, thank you. Can I have another question?
Mm-hmm.
So did you set up a training for them, or?
So the junior members of the team, again, in terms of Tableau development, they went on the Tableau fundamentals course, and then the rest is training on the job.
Thank you.
No worries.
Hiya. You had a roadmap slide up.
Mm-hmm.
Did that include any of the sort of the architectural work that happened underneath the Tableau visualization pieces?
Yeah. So within the project it did. It was a creation of the... I'll just get this slide up. Okay. So I've already covered on here, just kind of from a Tableau perspective, what we've done with the project, but over that 2-year period, it was more than just that. So it was the creation of the new data lake and kind of looking what tables need to be built, what those tables look like, the values of, and then rationalising a load of legacy business objects report. And then I mentioned we had another tool. We do use a new version of business objects just for kind of lists of information where you wouldn't necessarily use Tableau for that. So then it was creation of like 50 business objects reports. So from this point of view, I just kind of focused on Tableau, but that project was a wider project.
Okay.
Thanks. In terms of moving to a self-service model, did you ever have the challenge where you've got people that, whilst they like Tableau, they don't want to invest the time themselves to go and do it, and so they're still relying on other people wanting to give them their reports, and how did you deal with that challenge?
Yeah, so we have that challenge now. We give people Tableau and show them how to use it, but some people still kind of refuse to kind of get that information themselves, and they'll rely on the local support teams to kind of say, oh, can you just give me this information? So we've had kind of the sponsorship cascade down to the teams that these support teams are no longer going to be producing this information for these engineers, and they need to use Tableau to get that information. And that's where we come in as a team to kind of go out to the sites and kind of sit with these people and kind of really understand kind of their reluctance, and then try and kind of change their mindsets really, with making it easy with them first, whether it's setting up subscriptions or a user-driven alert, and then kind of going from there. Luca.
Hi. I guess from a Tableau employee perspective, what are some of the areas where you received help in rolling this out, and also some of the areas where you wish you had a bit more, and where could we do better in supporting you guys?
It's a good question. And I'm not quite sure, to be honest. I'd like to think that some of the skills that we've got in the team, we could kind of answer any Tableau kind of technical questions ourselves, whether it's using the online user groups or the community sites to kind of get down any challenges that we're facing in building dashboards. I suppose where it would be useful, it would be kind of understanding as an organisation what other similar organisations have done to kind of promote adoption, and really understanding what other challenges similar companies are facing. So, like I mentioned, National Grid are a utilities company, but we don't own or produce power. We're more of an asset management business. So be understanding from those similar companies what they're doing. Okay.
So what sort of delivery methodology do you follow when you're delivering a new suite of dashboards or provisioning a new data source? Is it like fixed sprints, Agile Scrum, or Kanban, or...?
Yeah, so it's like a loose Agile, I suppose. It's kind of a lot of iteration with customers, and we don't really follow a kind of a waterfall methodology where it's like, here's the brief and we'll stick to that, and then we won't kind of go off that sort of topic. It's kind of get initial kind of scope from a customer, really sitting down with them to understand what they're trying to answer, building like a proof of concept, and then keep going back and then just keep doing that iterative build until you get something that's suitable.
You showed that you're using something like a meta dashboard on how your users are using the resources that are posted. What kind of added benefits it has to the out-of-the-box Tableau usage?
For the usage?
Yeah.
Mainly, you can visualize it better rather than just the kind of out-of-the-box Tableau kind of usage stats. And you can kind of start bringing in stuff like team and and that sort of information really, and kind of then start building, looking at views and trending all those sort of things out. Just kind of find it more intuitive, because you can build it to what you want to see. Okay. Okay, good. Thank you.